I am Naima Singletary, and I am here every weekday at 8 a.m. Pacific until July 22nd. My goal is to have you have a deeper experience off of YouTube, off of Facebook, and really developing the power, because that's what it's going to take at the end of the day. It's going to take power, and it's going to take strategy for you to come into who you are, command the world stage, and profit. Okay. And today's topic is how to access the storehouses of your shadow to come out into the world. And even before you come out into the world, to be who you really are. And I'm here for 15 minutes each day. I'm here for 15 minutes. And so it's like to really go deeper into this, you have an opportunity. It's 3 days next week. The link is with this video for you to come in. Okay. It's called the UNSHAKABLE Visibility 3-day results-driven workshop. And I want to read something for you as we get into today's topic. It's really, really wonderful. Lord. All right. So I'd like to read an excerpt from a memoir called The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting, The Tragedy and the Glory of Growing Up by Ivana Lynch. She says, we're afraid that if we fully surrender to our darkness, we'll never come back from it. We're afraid our darkness will go on and on and on, that there's no end to it, and that we will get lost in it. We're afraid that if we show these ugly, unpalatable parts of ourselves, it will be too much for others. Then nobody will love and accept us, and we'll be left alone with only the worst parts of ourselves for company. Gosh. And another quote, I'm going to paraphrase it, from Carl Jung. Carl Jung, he's deceased now, but was a famous psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, and the founder of analytical psychology. So he is one of the founders of shadow, right? You've heard shadow work, shadow. He is the man who coined that. And basically the shadow is the repressed parts of ourselves. And he quoted, and I'm paraphrasing, this is not exactly what he said, but basically that humans are mostly not good, baby. And that we spend much of our life working, exerting so much energy consciously and unconsciously to make sure we fit within whatever group, club, social thing that we, position ourselves with for comfort, to feel like we're a part of community, right? And we consciously and unconsciously abide by the spoken and unspoken agreements and rules and laws that govern that community. And in most communities, you already know this, that your shadow self, and speaking about your shadow self and working through your shadow self and really becoming an integrated human being, because as Carl Jung has said, and so many of his followers who practice the work have come to know, is that as long as you remain repressed, you cannot have the impact you want, because the power that you need is locked down with the repression. So I have a story to share with you to really make a point. So in 2012, I spent a lot of time running from myself. And I have a ton of stories I could share. This was just the first time I became aware of a shadow. I knew nothing about shadow at this time. And it was a pivotal point for me. And I'm sharing this with you so you can see what you can do beyond, and in addition to coming into the 3-day workshop, Unshakable Visibility. The link is with this video. So in 2012, I spent a lot of time running from myself, but I wasn't aware that I was running from myself. What it looked like, and you may be able to relate to this, is I would say I want to make more money. So I was a coach at the time. I was making money online, but very little money. It was struggle money. I would say things like, I want to make more money. Like, I'm ready to make more money. There was just this feeling, that feeling like you want more, you want to grow, but you just can't seem to grasp it. It always just seems elusive. I would work really hard. Like I was the woman, I was living in Oakland at the time. I was the woman who'd be like at 3 networking events a night. Then I'd go maybe have a speaking event, a couple of those in a week. And then I was doing like free remember teleseminars, y'all? I was doing free teleseminars and free things, just all kinds of girl working every which way and all the way around. And kept saying, I want to make more money. I know I can do more. I know I can have more. And running around the Bay Area, social, thinking that because I'm busy, that I'm actually producing the result. And let me make sure I'm mindful of time. Yeah. And I became frustrated. And I remember I started praying, like, I don't know what to do. But praying sincerely. It wasn't a begging kind of prayer. Um, you don't beg in prayer. I came to learn that too. But anyway, it was a sincere, like, what do I do here? And I remember I went to this business coach came into my social media feed, and I ended up going to her 3-day conference, and it was a very high vibration conference. And the second night of that conference, it was 3 days. The second night of that conference, I remember being so high. Everybody told me they want high vibration. Are you ready for the low that comes with that? And so anyway, night 2, I was in my hotel room, and I'm telling you, the shadow part in myself that I had been running from, that I didn't even know that I was running from, came. It's like, and that's the law of cause and effect, and the law of polarity. Whenever you go strong in one direction, you automatically open the door to the other. So for folks seeking, that's why for those of you who have had really high vibrational experiences, whether it was ayahuasca or you went to some retreat where you were like the divine, clearly, right? Or like you were doing all these things with body movement and breath work and eating fresh, green, organic foods, and you were engaging in sensual touch, and maybe your clitoris was involved, and loving God, and all this good was in you. And you just felt like all things were possible. And you made a promise from that high place that you were going to do this benevolent high thing. And then when you settled down into whatever was reality for you, you were not able to sustain and bring that promise into fruition because you didn't integrate and make the same level of connection with the shadow part of yourself, the shadow part of yourself. And so I did not run from the shadow part of myself. I didn't have any help or support. The way there, you just shadow work people all around to help you. There was nobody around at that time. I was not even aware. Still wasn't aware of the word shadow. I was just having the experience. And so when I came back to California, because the event was in Orlando, when I came back to California, really, I just went into decline. I just went into depression, and I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that I literally did not have the will to continue going forward in my coaching business. And I moved in with my mom, and I would drink myself to sleep. I would go days without showering. And when I finally really surrendered into the darkness that I was in, I just started naturally writing. I also had an experience where a friend didn't have the capacity to be with me. And I was in this place where I was opening up my shadow self even more. And I brought it to this friend, and she didn't have the capacity. And that's the reality for a lot of us. We don't have we don't have people in our lives that have the capacity to be with us. And so that's why we circle and we feel alone, because it's very scary to face the evil in oneself, to face the dark, the nasty, the dirty, the selfish, the greedy, the violent, the right, which is in every single human being. It's not for some and not for others. This the unconscious and the shadow exists in every human being. And so I started writing, and I started writing in a very unfiltered way. And what I was doing at the time was shadow work, and I didn't even know I was doing shadow work. I was just needing to get this out, and I was no longer willing to run for myself the way I was in 2012. And I would publish these writings. And matter of fact, if you go to my Facebook wall, my personal wall, not my business one, but my personal wall, and go back to October, November, December of 2013, because some of the posts are public and some are invisible, like private, and only my Facebook friends can see them, you'll see the level of really raw, really dark shadow material that I was excavating. And it was like a throwing up online. Before it was, now it's kind of trendy to be like, my shadow and stuff. But back then, nobody in my world was doing it. Definitely no Black people were doing it. And still, I just needed to get free. I just, I was so sincere to becoming more. And so I did that. And I did that for maybe 3 months. And literally, it opened up the floodgates of power, because what will happen for you, and this is why I so strongly encourage you to come into Unshakable Visibility. We start next week, register this week so you can get yourself inside of the Facebook group where it's going to be happening. It's a 3-day results-driven workshop where you will get results. The reason why I'm inviting you into this and why shadow work is a part of this work is that, one, it's a place for you to actually work through your shadow. Like, most of us don't have that. I know a lot of people, like we all know people that we call friends and sisters, and yes, they're great, right? They're wonderful, awesome people, but do they know your shadow self? I mean, like, do they support you and integrating your shadow? Like, you need that if you're going to be in full power and have an impact and make money consistently online. The impact you really want to make, like at a heart level, deeply, and even at a like heart, soul, and even a level of vengeance. There is some benevolence and vengeance. But see, when you haven't gotten intimate with your shadow, you see vengeance as purely a bad thing, and it's not. So the reason why I'm inviting you in is because the homework assignments will do, because you'll be given visibility assignments. There'll be coaching in there. I'll be going live. It's very interactive, is that you'll get to integrate the parts of yourself that you either are unconscious to, or that you're conscious to, but you try to reject them. You leave them at the perimeter of yourself, which means you have power outside of yourself. And that as soon as you work the shadow elements, the powers, like, you become infused with a power and a will, the will to be visible, the will to make decisions that you're unwilling to make, the will to have conversations that you may currently feel uncomfortable with having, the will to take a certain kind of leadership role, the will to set certain prices on your services, the will to put together an actual visibility marketing. See, but when you're not in the power, because you're leaving it outside of yourself, because like Evelyn said in this post right here, she said, we're afraid that our darkness will go on and on and on, and that there's no end, and that when we show these ugly parts of ourselves, that nobody will love and accept us, and we'll be left alone with only the worst parts of ourselves for company. And what I can tell you, as somebody who, oh God, yeah. So this is just not something most people are going to do. Just know that. Okay, most people are not going to do it, and that's okay. It's not your job to bring everybody along, because just know most of them will not, because it is such a brave feat in life to discover what is dark about you, what is ugly about you, what is socially unacceptable for you. That the goddess circles that I was in, and the love circles and sister circles, and when it comes time to come into the real whole power, when I say whole, I mean that which in you, which is benevolent and goddess and love and queen and all that, and everything in you that's sloppy and dirty and nasty and petty and You know, most people don't have the capacity to even be with you and even really integrating that. And so it is a blessing to have the Unshakable Visibility 3-day results driven interactive workshop for you to access these healing parts of yourself. And what I invite you to do now to take away from today is to look at who you are. You know, like give yourself time and space, as I touched on yesterday. Give yourself time and space to really look at who you are. Who are you? And ask yourself questions. And go Google Carl Jung and see if there's anything about Carl Jung that resonates with you. Jung is Jung. See if there's anything that resonates with you, his readings, his teachings, because it will be a game changer for you. And for those of you who have, you know, come closer in, maybe we've worked together, or those of you who have stayed at a distance, because you can already feel the vortex of truth around here. I've only been able to come into this because of the shadow integration work, which I've done, continue. It's never over. The shadow integration work that I continue to do. And also my refusing to engage in the subtle ways. So subtle. Refusing to engage in the subtle ways, the little lies that we do to stay inside it, to feel belonging somewhere, to feel like we belong, to feel like we're validated, people agree with us, people like what I refuse. So I'm aware that I'm an exception, and I don't say that from a needing to be better than. It's just I've watched myself and others and told the truth about myself and recognized I know who I am. I have violent tendencies, like I'm a believer in violence. I don't reject that part about myself. I know the parts of me that are mean and are very capable and very okay with causing harm. Okay. So how many people do you know will come on camera in their company and say that to listeners, right? How many people are aware of the way that their guilt is influencing their behavior and they own that and they allow that to put them in a much more empowering way to make decisions with the people in their lives? Like I'm telling you, the power that you want, for those of you who think you're a goddess, that you should be doing securing higher level clients, for those of you who are like, I'm a motherfucking ruler of the planet, but really, you still looking for validation, right? For those of you who in your conscious mind, you're this big thing, but the reality is your unconscious has you acting like a peasant. You see, that's the power of this unshakable visibility shit. I'm telling you. And a lot of people ain't gonna like you. That's their problem. I mean, what side do you want to be on? When you get to 65, because that's a big motivator for me, shit, 50. When you get to 50, what's important to you to have accomplished? Because there's a lot of people who sit behind goddess and the divine feminine is doing what she's doing. And I don't have to do anything because what will be. Really? Right, because according to statistics, Black folk gonna be zero wealth by 2050. Is that just, we just let that be what that's gonna be? Huh? See, shadow. That's the shadow and ego at work, fear at work. I'm telling you. So I would love for you to be inside of Unshakable Visibility. We start next week. Register with the link with this video. It's already on Facebook. It will be placed on YouTube today. And I will leave you with this. Life is a heart game. I'm here every weekday at 8 a.m. Pacific here on YouTube and on Facebook for 15 minutes. So I'll return here tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye.